I know.
Ah, perfect timing. You always frighten me when you log off and then come back on right at the moment time.
Do you mean when I put tape over my camera and then
Yes.
take the tape away? That's because too
Yes.
many times I have been like, oh, let me find this thing right before the show starts. I'll wait for the credits. And then I've been surprised and we're live and I'm like,
You're here.
but I'm always
Welcome,
here.
everybody. Welcome,
here.
Melissa. Welcome, Chris, who's going to be in the background, and Batcat, special guest tonight. Yes.
He's really the guy.
Victor says hello. Hey, Victor. How you doing? Very relaxing music, early morning version. Yes, it is. We have some really good Tibetan bowl healing in the background, so you may feel very relaxed and very healed.
So soothing.
It is true. It's already been done, Victor. It's already been done.
Smoke one for us, Ruben.
So I had to sacrifice myself for that. Yes.
For everyone else.
Yes, of course. So, how you doing, Melissa, this week?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you, anyone who's joining us on Feelings Friday. We're always happy to welcome you. And as always, if you want to drop a line and just be like, hi, or give us a feeling, because it's always nice to get sort of a temperature of how other people are doing. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I haven't talked to Ruben all week, so I could say anything. And
what if there was someone from England here?
Emily! Oh my goodness! I'm always so tickled when she joins us, since we know she's either had a crazy night or a really early morning.
She's up, you're up hella early. Or
I should have known Emily was going to be here because I had a frog in my throat, and whenever I talk to her, I'm all phlegmy. I don't know what it is. It's like my excitement builds this viscous. Oh, you want to talk more about this? This is gross.
And so Emily is a wonderful, podcaster, but has a good YouTube channel. She's many talented, right? Creator, yeah. Let's just call her creator. She creates a whole bunch of stuff too, and we play some stuff on her stuff on here too, which will probably be tonight because there is a quiz that I wanted to take. It is yes. So I've been queuing it up. I might queue it up here and there. So, yeah. So thanks, Emily. Chris is here. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hi, Chris.
Congrats on the book, Melissa. And
Thank you.
And congratulations on that book too. And, be curious because we have 2 writers on to show tonight. So hopefully I won't be edged out. But I have written some stuff myself, so I'm going to bring that out to my new book.
I'm excited to have another writer on the show. But it's always just fun to talk creativity because it shows up in whatever iteration it shows up in.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you even spelled phlegm right. I'm impressed. I never smell.
I was off. Yeah. I thought it was like some sort of phlegm.
Phlegm.
Yeah. And we have Andrew, who has a wonderful show on Monday nights, and he is doing a great job with COVID. Yes. Sacramento Poet Laureate, and also a show called Maxed Up on Mondays, and it's a very wonderful show about COVID. And if you ever want to know any kind of statistics or interviews about COVID that are, just COVID. Very creative, the most creative way I've ever seen, come see this show. So,
What's it called?
Maxed Up. I wish I had next time. I think I'll bring a previews of the shows, and we can do little shots of them too. But they're really good. So,
anybody, if you want to share a link to what you do, if you want us to link back to it or to share with anyone watching, we always welcome that. So
yeah. And then Victor said, "What book?" And also, we should put your link up here too, Melissa.
My link
for your book, or a picture of your book, or your.
Oh yeah, I actually just made the sales page for my book today. It is crazy doing something you've never done because I made the book. So I made a book. I wrote a book and got it published, and I got my first copy. I'll just introduce it since we're talking about it. It's called Questions You'll Wish You Asked, and it's a mother-daughter journal. So a mom can answer questions for her daughter so that when the daughter grows older and maybe mom's not around anymore, because I wrote it from missing my own mom and having so many questions I wish I'd asked her. So yeah, it's out, and you can actually get it on Amazon. That's the only place you can get it right now. But I know a lot of people don't like to go through Amazon. And anyway, so I can actually share a link to that. If anybody's into it. So
that's gonna be awesome. So Andrew says Zeus is watching, which is a puppet that takes over the show. Zeus has his own show, personality, TikTok, and he also has like his own TikTok channel, which is incredible. Sometimes
how many followers does Zeus have?
Oh, you can't even tell. You can't even tell. So
I have 3 followers on TikTok, so I'm sure Zeus has more than me. Thank you so much, Andrew. A dope book premise. I actually set out to write a book that was in line with my business. I'm a life coach. I'm always talking about self-confidence and finding your inner voice. And then I just was not into that book at all. I wrote almost the entire thing, and it felt very blah. And I think we talked about this last week that I've realized, like, when I'm creating with a feeling, that's usually what people are going to feel when they consume it, or I want them to feel that thing. And that book wasn't happening, and this one wanted to. So yeah.
And look who's here.
Oh, Colleen. Hi, Colleen.
Another wonderful creator, artist, beautiful work. I'm supposed to go by check out our stuff, but I've been very COVID introverted. Like, I'm trying not to go to places anymore for at least for the next couple of months. I'm actually going to really, really try not to go as much out anywhere at all for the next couple of months.
We're going out too much?
Just interacting with people. I don't want to, be the, we talked about that. I don't want to be the guy that, So we do not know. But anyways, I'm trying to be very, very good. Emily said, "That's so exciting." I think you need to.
In an island.
I tried.
In such an online world, how fun to have a physical result of your hard work. Can't stream a book. I have to say that the way I think you wanted me to. And I completely agree. There was something really very fulfilling about and that's part of why it's so overwhelming to me, because I've never sold anything online that's not a digital product. And so I'm like, what do I do with you, this paper book? And I'm very COVID conscious too, not only because cases are surging. What's it like over there, by the way, Emily? I know I always ask you that, but the world is always changing and you're in a different country. Here in California, I don't know.
Although I admit that we did get rid of one virus. He won't leave the White House, but it's getting close. So that was good, right?
Oh my gosh, this is our first show since that officially happened.
Yeah, so we're feeling lighter now. And, I feel like someone there's... Anyways, so welcome everybody to Cali Cocktail Hour Friday night, Feeling Friday, and a special guest, Chris Macias, who is here's my notes, Chris does a lot of writing, so he has a lot of. He's a music cultural writer in Sacramento. He's been there for a long time. A food writer, a speechwriter, and I put a writer.
Oh.
Yes, so writer of words. Well, this is my prepared notes for the show. You can't see that.
Is that a Post-it?
Yeah, and I probably spelled writer wrong. So
he's a writer. Woo!
Yeah. So sorry, let's see him going there. So we're gonna play a song. Yeah, what am I doing here? Play a song. Come back with Chris, and we're gonna see Melissa doing some improv jazz hands dancing, and feel a little sensitive. So we're gonna play a little bit of a folk song tonight.
I was like, did you find a video of me dancing? Oh God, but I don't think that's what you
sorry.
meant.
It's called Stuck in the Moment. So we'll be back after this.
Cool.
Welcome to Cali Cocktail Hour. We love you. Feel
Drop
the love.
A feeling. If you haven't yet, tell us your feeling of the night.
Yeah, how are you feeling tonight?
Or the morning.
We're bringing Chris up.
I feel like I've been here before.
Hi, Chris.
Familiar with the view. This ain't nothing new. And every time that you walk through the door, I'm hit by the same old tide, blinded by the lights, and I'm going through changes, but it's easier with you. I'm going through changes, and so are you. And I find the moments when you're around me.
Ruben, who is this?
I know you've got secrets, but I can't keep on. And we're fading in and out together. The fuse wide open, stuck in the moment. The fuse wide open, stuck in the moment. The fuse wide open, stuck in the moment. When I'm with you, I'm not myself. You bring out the best in me, the side only you can see. And I don't need any other help than you standing by my side, if only for a while. I'm going through changes, and so are you.
Dance, Melissa.
Find the moments when you're around me. I know you've got secrets, but I can't keep on. And we're fading in and out together.
Jazz hands.
The fuse wide open, stuck in the moment. The fuse wide open, stuck in the moment. The fuse wide open, stuck in the moment.
Okay, that was it. Stuck in the Moment. Hello, Chris. How you doing?
Doing good. I'm really happy to be here. It's a very soothing Friday night, Friday the 13th. But it's good to be here with you all and feel the feelings, feel the vibes, talk some writing. Shout out to Andrew for being here, Sacramento's Poet Laureate. It's pretty cool. Very cool.
Andrew's an awesome person with endless positivity vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's leading some things here in Sac, in terms of, creative people. Just, I don't know. I really just like where his voice is coming from, and he's just good for the city. So thank you for being here now.
Yeah. And if you feel that anybody could do a COVID show that's very positive and yet giving these numbers out, it's fucking Andrew.
That's why I'm really interested to see it. When you said that, I was like, wait, it's about COVID, but it's
pretty badass. Yeah. So, and he has a puppet that comes on that takes over the show sometimes, Zeus, and he gets nuts, and Zeus thinks he's, I mean, the show may be about Zeus pretty soon because Zeus does take over. So,
well, his name is Zeus. Kind of set himself up there, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading my private chat from somebody. So.
I told Ruben that I'm not his puppet.
Well, I'm your puppet. How's that?
You're all dance, Melissa, dance.
That was a reference from Mike Myers and a long time ago. whatever dance. Anyways, so Chris.
Welcome, Chris. We are so happy to have you on. And as I've proven, it'll be fun to talk creativity around writing. It's just always like whatever medium our guest practices, that's kind of your way of expressing something that we all have, which is the ability to create. You know, we are creations that create. So it's going to be exciting to talk to another writer.
Well, Melissa, congratulations for getting your book out. I mean, I've done a couple of them. It's a process, and you know, it's they always take much longer than you think, and it's just, I mean, yeah. So congratulations on getting. It's a huge accomplishment. I remember holding the first book I did. You know, when you're talking about just that tactile thing of holding this thing in your hand for the first time, I'll never forget that feeling of when the publisher sent those first advanced copies of the book and took a picture of me holding it in my car, you know, my lap, and it was a really cool moment. So keep them coming. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Oh,
there he is. I knew it.
Cameo.
It's every time. I remember I said that every time I see that cat, I'm gonna take a shot of Zinfandel.
He's a lurker. Yeah, he's just lurking. Yeah,
my favorite. He's got my favorite color on too. Goth cat. Yes.
Yeah, very goth. Yeah, love Susie and the Banshees, Tones on Tail.
Say.
Early Cure for sure.
Yeah. None of this. What do you call it? Blue Old Navy Cure. Where you go in there and like, hey, it's a cure on. Yeah.
No, he's more like 10-15 on a Saturday night.
Yeah, there you go. So
kind of Cure. Yeah,
that's right. Cool. That's a pretty cool cat.
Thank you.
Cool
cat. Yeah. So, Chris, you know, and I wrote, you know, obviously my notes are, I mean, not being a writer, but pretty damn close.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. But you know, and Melissa being a writer too, you know, curious because I know that I've known you for a long time, and I've known, you know, your writings from a long time too, and especially music too, as we talk about it too. What was your favorite? I mean, what was your favorite thing to write about in music here in Sacramento?
Ooh, here in Sacramento, gosh, that's a tough one. So I wrote about music for the first 10 years about that I was at the B. Then did food and wine for about another 8 to 10 after that. But gosh, so in terms of music stories, you know, one of my favorites, I mean, when I got to go on the road with the Deftones when White Pony came out, I was with them on the set of Late Night with David Letterman. You know, just kind of got to be a fly on the wall while they kicked off this new album, this new tour. That was a lot of fun. Got to hang out with Carlos Santana one morning at his rehearsal studio and interview him. So there's like all these like cool fanboy kind of moments I've had. But a lot of times, but sometimes just like the stories of just like the local musicians are just trying to make it happen, full of talent, you know, just, you know, they've got the hustle, they got the drive, maybe they have a great like kind of backstory, you know, because for me, it's always just about a good story. You know, it's not always about the subject, whether it's, you know, food or music, whatever. It's like, I just want to know a good story. If there's something, if there's a transformational thing that's involved, if there's something like maybe deeper going on, those are my favorite kind of stories. And not every story is like that when you're working as a music journalist. Some of them are just like concert reviews or, you know, advancing a band that's coming to town. But I really like doing the food stuff. Actually, was a really good platform for profile writing and things like that. But I know it's kind of hard to say. You know, I think about it.
When you talk about food profiling too, like what was? I'm curious to see like what the angle was too from the, you know, especially from the food stuff too.
Well, again, I was always trying to look for when I could just a good story. And one of my favorite stories I've ever done was about Edward Martinez. He was a former gang member turned high-end pastry chef. And he's based in Sacramento. I did a profile of him. Again, it's about this transformation of a guy. Basically, he was standing in front of a judge. The judge is saying, you have two choices. You're either going to go to state prison. He'd gotten in trouble with some things. Or you're going to do something with your life. And Edward says, you know, I want to go to pastry school. I want to learn how to be a baker and bake pastry. His mom had passed away when he was really young. He remembered like those memories of her being in the kitchen and baking and all that. And he went with that and ended up becoming this super successful pastry chef. You know, he had been here in Sacramento. He'd just gone into Napa and these like Michelin-starred restaurants. Yeah, so that profile
that's so cool. I'm writing his name down. I want to look this up.
Yeah, so that story was published in the Best Food Writing 2012 anthology, which was, I was like thrilled to get that selection. I think like Anthony Bourdain's in there and like Ruth Reichl and like all these like, you know, big name writers. But yeah, and I'm just like, whoa, I'm just like this, you know, Sacramento Bee. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I'm just working at a daily newspaper. Just looking for a good story. But I just love
it. You found a good story.
Well, yeah, it's a story of transformation. It's not just about the food. It's not just about the things that he had done in the past ever, but it's just how he started from somewhere and then went to this whole other place and transformed himself. And it hasn't been an easy journey, and it's followed along. There's always been ups and downs with him, but enormously talented guy, hell of a backstory. Those are the kind of stories that I'm always looking for, and they don't always come by very often. But that one I felt really blessed with, and just give it up to Edward for just doing some amazing things with his life.
Yeah, I just think that's so awesome. And how do you find stories like that? Are you thinking, oh, I want to write about pastry chefs, and then you just like follow your breadcrumbs to this really interesting twisty story, or like how did that come?
One of my colleagues actually tipped me off to Edward, which was good. But a lot of times you just kind of got to be out there, so I would spend a lot of time just out there in the culinary community, going to these dinners and meeting people and whatnot. And you just start learning about people in the community, and you hear about these cool stories, or just, you just kind of got to have your ear to the ground a little bit, and just because these things aren't going to fall in your lap, you just have to be kind of a people person and just talk to people, and you get ideas and you learn about people, and
you're curious. Yeah. You look at the world with like a curiosity.
And I think that's at the heart of being a writer, is like that curiosity of, trying to answer these questions, trying to work through these things to, see if you can answer these questions through writing. It's a journey,
So when you were a kid, did you ask the same question over and over again? And go, why? Why?
Probably, yeah. I probably played my mom a lot.
Yeah, your mom's like, go write something. That's why.
I'm actually interested, how did you begin writing? Like, did you always love it? Is it something that grew to love? How did writing fall into your lap?
I always loved to write. My mom was an English teacher and a Spanish teacher. And so language was like a big thing with her. Writing was, my brother is also a writer. In fact, he was like published before I was, and he's younger than me. But writing was just something in our family. When I was in high school, I dreamt of writing the great American novel. I wanted to write my version of Catcher in the Rye or something, and all these lofty dreams. But I never wrote for my high school paper. I never wrote for my college paper when I went to UC Davis, but I always just loved to write. And once the internet kind of came around, I just sort of started doing it, and built a web page. At the time, it was based on it was all about like turntablism, like hip hop DJing, like scratch DJing. So I would just watch shows, I would review shows, I would interview DJs like Hubert and Mixmaster Mike, and these guys who ended up becoming pretty big. And I ended up at McClatchy, just kind of in the back door, working on an early version of SACB.com, but caught the ear of some people there who knew that I also was kind of plugged in with the music scene and that I liked to write. And I really happened to be in the right place at the right time. And the former music critic was looking to do something else. He's like, hey, what do you think about, trying out for my job? And I was like, well, that sounds amazing, but I'd never had an editor before. I'd never written on deadline like that. All I'd really done is like college papers and just stuff for myself and the internet. And I just went with it, and I ended up getting the job, and the rest is kind of history. And I ended up there for about 20 years, and it was a good ride. But I was really lucky, because I never thought about being a journalist when I was young, or being a writer just seemed like kind of like a pipe dream. It was something like, it sounds really cool. I would love to do something like that. And I was lucky enough to just kind of make it happen. It's like once I chased that thing, because I was chasing other things at the time too, wanted to work for the state or just doing whatever. I had this degree in sociology, didn't know what the hell I was going to do with it. But the more I chased the writing thing, the more I chased the things I really love to do, music and writing. That's the thing that clicked, and that's the thing that has kind of kept me going to what I do now. And that's how I pay my bills and make my living and keep myself.
And what do you do now? I know you're still writing, but like, do you write with a specific entity? I don't think you're still with the Bee, right?
No, I'm not. I left the Bee in 2017. So my day job, I'm a speechwriter for the chancellor at UC Davis. So it's pretty cool because it's like I'm writing, I'm helping, I'm writing in someone else's voice, I've done ghostwriting projects for books. So it's a writing function. And pre-COVID, I was doing a bunch of wine writing for the San Francisco Chronicle, also some travel writing for the Chronicle. And also occasionally I do some things for the Bee still. The News and Review, I did a few cover stories for them and some other things. So I definitely, try and keep myself out there, but it's primarily as a freelancer. But I'm just glad that, day job isn't something completely different. My day job is still writing based. It's, I'm still flexing those same kind of creative muscles that I would do as a journalist in a lot of ways too. I feel pretty lucky.
So
that's cool.
When you write a speech for someone, do you dress up in their clothes? Do you feel them, or do you smell their clothes like a hound?
Yeah. Do you have
dog?
The Chancellor mail?
Yes. Do you have to
Is it
channel
right now?
No, you just hear that voice in your head.
Okay.
You spend so much time working with their words and watching them deliver the speeches, because everybody has their own natural cadence.
Yeah.
Because I'm writing for him. I'm not writing for myself. If I was writing for myself, it'd be very different. So
that's really interesting, because that means you have to go into their psyche, right? Into themselves and figure out what to write.
Yeah. And
how is that process? Because I'm just imagining, like, do you first write it in the words you would use and then say, okay, how would Chancellor put this point that I want to make? Or do you just like put on the hat of, I am the Chancellor?
Yeah, you just pretty much jump into that voice. You have to be comfortable and confident enough to know like what that voice is. My own speaking style tends to go on and on a little bit more. The Chancellor's voice is much more economical. He likes like tighter, very active kind of sentences. So I just kind of write in that way. But everybody's different. And the first ghostwriting project I did, I remember just listening to these transcriptions, all these interviews, and putting them down on paper and whatnot, and just hours and hours of hearing this person's voice, and it just gets ingrained in your head, and then it becomes about just how do I best serve that voice on paper, matching their flow, the kind of language that they use, and everybody's voice is different, and that's what's kind of fun about it. Everybody's got a story, and that story is different, and I like being able to serve people and helping tell their stories. So
that is so cool.
This is the first book I did. It's called Echoes of an Angel. So this is a true story. There's a guy named Ben Underwood. He was known throughout the world as the boy who could see with sound. He was on Oprah. He was on 2020 whatnot. He literally had no eyes. He had cancer in his retinas when he was a baby, and they had to be removed. And so he could not see anything, but through echolocation, like how bats and dolphins communicate by clicking, he learned how to navigate the world to the point where he could play basketball and shoot hoops, ride a bike to school by himself, learn martial arts, play video games. He was like kind of almost like a supernatural thing. But his story went all around the world.
Video games.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like a master at like Mario Brothers. It's really strange. Like there's this one scene where he's in the doctor's office, getting a checkup. And one of the nurses goes over and is like watching this kid play on his Game Boy, and tells the doctor, "Wait, I thought you had like a blind kid coming in." He's like, "Well, yeah," and it was him. Stevie Wonder became a good personal friend of his in the family. So it was a great story. The sad part is that the cancer that had claimed his eyes in the first place, came back. He had a reoccurrence and was buried right around his 18th birthday. But he was based out of Elk Grove. He was a local guy. The Bee actually first did a series of stories, one of my colleagues, Cynthia Hubert, but I was fortunate enough to do the book with the mom. And
had he passed away at that
Chris,
point?
He had already passed away, yeah.
Chris, what was her mom name? What was his mom name?
Aqua.
You know what? What's so bizarre? I met Aquanetta. You know how I met her? And we talked about you, and we talked about the book. She was a Uber driver. That's right. She picked me up.
Yeah.
Wait, her name is Aquanetta?
Aquanetta. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and she's got an amazing story.
She's fucking awesome.
She's amazing. The reason her son was able to do so much was because this thing that she instilled in him with she was like, look, you're gonna have the same kind of life as every other kid. You're gonna fall. You're gonna struggle if you have to, but you're also gonna persevere. Your name is Benjamin Underwood, and you can do anything. She would tell him that every day, and he did it. And I forgot. I have it in the book. Or the name Aquanetta. It was based off of it was like a movie character or something like that.
I was gonna say, I feel like isn't it a superhero character?
Kind of like who is it? Yeah,
Aquaman, but
No, he was there's like a Marvel character that had a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember the story because she's like, and we start talking, and she came with us. She dropped us off at an art show, and I'm like, and she's like, we're talking. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to an art show. It's at Panama Pottery, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, come on with us, So she came with us to the art show, and she's like, this is cool. And then we start talking, and she's like, they wrote the movie about my son, or a book about my son. And she's like, a guy named Chris Macias, and he was so cool. I'm like, wait a minute, I know. So it was really bizarre for me because I had a conversation with her all this time, and so I invited her to come with us, and I remember that story. That's why I was like, I know the story.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Amazing. I mean, Aqua. I mean, her story. Yeah. I mean, she's been through about as much as a mother could ever go through. I mean, she was raised in a pretty poor environment. She struggled with some things. She was in Section 8 housing with 5 kids as a single mom, working like 3 jobs. Has a son who's going through these tremendous medical challenges, losing his eyes, trying to get him to navigate through this world, then having to bury your son, at an age. But she's also the most positive person.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
She was so...
That's right. Emily got it. The Daredevil. That's who her... Yeah, and he was on, like it was like some kind of like BuzzFeed list, like superheroes that are actually real, something like that. And it was Ben Underwood was one of them. Yeah, but Aqua is amazing.
And she was so positive. That's what I remember about her. She was like, no, I told him, the way she, it was great. I mean, it was great meeting her. But I just, remember those things and synchronicities in life where you meet people, and that she was definitely one of them.
Yeah, we're hoping to do a children's book version of Ben's story someday.
Well, maybe maybe we can bring her on here with you too one time.
Oh, that would be amazing. She's I mean, her story is just tremendous, and there's just so much I think that especially young people can learn about just perseverance and just having faith in your ability, not judging others. Because Ben, I mean, there's one scene in the book where the kids are trying to pick on him and trying to beat him up, and he'd fight back. And he started chasing after this one kid, and like, well, mom's like, how did you know where he was going? He's like, I could hear the zipper swinging on his backpack, so that's why I had to be able to navigate and find this kid and tackles him and punches him, and then again, he had no eyes. He literally had no eyes.
Wow. That is incredible and really neat from a storytelling perspective, but also just to sort of almost voyeuristic. I think that part of writing is so cool when you get sort of let into someone's world. And I imagine talking to a mother about the life of her son, especially one who's passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that's such an honor. So
it is. It's a privilege. I tell you, there was some sessions, there was a lot of tears. I remember just like, writing this stuff, I'm like, transcribing things or like, putting this stuff down, and, it was heavy, because you're really, the parts I really had to, feel her pain, feel those moments of anguish that she had. But again, it's such a privilege to be able to help people tell the story, because like I said, everybody's got a story, but there's a different kind of skill set in getting it down on paper in your Word doc, whatever it is. And so for me, being able to help people do that, it's really an honor. I mean, I'm glad that I can be of service like that in a writerly way.
Okay, I want to hear about your process when you sit down to write something, whether it is a speech or the first draft of the first chapter of a book, whatever it is. What do you do? Like, do you have just, like a specific writing time that you set aside every day? Do you have, I don't know, any rituals around it? What is your process like?
Well, I found that I have like 2 kind of really good times of the day where I'm like the most productive writing wise. And it's usually like right as I'm getting up and having that first cup of coffee. And then like later on at night, like when things have kind of settled down, I've, got a 6-year-old daughter, I got a son who's 18, and, there's all the stuff going on during the day, but there are those certain times of the day where I just find I can just focus more. But a lot of the time, I don't always have a choice, especially as a journalist. Like, you just got to crank it out just whenever the time comes. And that can be a lot of pressure, especially on deadline. But for my process, I usually just go for it. I mean, I just start writing. I know other writers who they like to have everything very like outlined and structured, and I just don't write like that. I just try and feel whatever it is that's speaking to me about that story or that article, whatever. I just try and just get it down and go from there. because most of the writing process is the self-editing process, because I know that, what I put down isn't going to be like the final. So I just need to start getting things out, and then I just kind of see the shape that it sort of takes, and I just try and work with that as much as I can. Also knowing what editors also might be looking for, I know that there are going to be questions that they're going to ask, or, things that they're going to have. So it's like addressing those things while I'm going through that process. But I just try and trust my intuition. It just, what I'm just feeling about that story, or if I'm just not feeling something about a story, what other people might find interesting about it. I try and make things as active as I can and engaging. I really try and draw people in as much as I can as a writer. So
when you're writing, so it sounds like you'll think of the editor, you'll think of the readers, but is there like a person that you write to? Do you have, because I know that that's often been suggested. Like, I actually do have a friend that I'll imagine when I write, because I know she finds my topics interesting. So I'm like, I don't know who will read this, but I know Katie will. So this is for Katie. So what is that?
That's a really good question. One person who I actually think of a lot, and he probably doesn't know, is my brother. Even though we don't always just like share a lot of writing, he lives in Tokyo right now, and he's just in this whole other world of him doing this thing. He's working on a book, but I always just respected him just so much as a writer, especially because he was doing it a lot longer before I was, and just so sharp with it. And I would just think about, I wonder what he would think of this. I sometimes think about my mom, like, would this story make her proud, kind of stuff, just because, she was such an influence on me. But I've also been lucky to work with some really amazing editors. And so I think about what would they be looking for in this story, even though if I'm not, might not have worked with them in a decade or something like that. But I would think about, they're the kind of guidance they've given me and what they would look for. But yeah, there's, but more than anything, it has to speak to myself, like it has to resonate with myself ultimately. Like when I finish this thing, I've got to feel good and comfortable with it before I move on to the next story,
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you just mentioned, because it reminds me of another piece of writing advice I heard recently, where you were just talking about how you'll think of a previous editor or your mom, like, would she be proud of this? And I was listening to this writer speak, and she was like, make a writing group with all of your mentors, and they can be dead, they can be famous, it could be Stephen King, it could be Liz Gilbert, she's one of my favorite, and so that is sort of a way to think of, who is my circle of support, but also, what would this person say to me when I'm feeling stuck, or really like, this is total shit, this is so bad? What would my mentor advise me to do at this moment? And it can be really helpful to be like, well, they always say the first draft is always shitty. So yeah, that makes sense. Keep going, or something like that. So yeah, I think that is so cool.
Let me go back to also too, when you talk about writing too, about when you're speech writing, because Emily wrote something, I think it's, I wanted to go back to this before we talk about this too. Melissa?
Ooh, so interesting. Could you forge like a new voice for them? In theory, like, could there be a jolt of personality with every new speechwriter?
Are you sure that's not ghostwriter?
I think she had a typo. I'm trying to.
It might be. It might be something English that we don't know about. It's like hella, right?
It just made me smile.
It's like hella, right?
It's like hellar.
That's a great question, because
that is a good question.
Yeah, because sometimes we're trying to look for ways to kind of turn up the volume on certain things, amplify parts of the personality and whatnot, or add like maybe a little bit of humor and suggest some things. It's a balancing act, because ultimately you got to respect that it's their voice. This isn't you, but you also feel obligated to make it what you think is the best speech that it can be. The best set of remarks, whatever it is. And so yeah, you can sometimes try and tweak things a little bit, or try and push the envelope a little bit. There's certainly a couple of times where I pushed the envelope a little bit too much, and her back, no, we're not going that far. But sometimes there have been chances where some took a few chances and they come through. But for the most part, it's a little bit more of a conservative, kind of writing thing, especially depending on the audience that they're speaking to, because the Chancellor, UC Davis is like $8 billion economic activity enterprise, and speaking to these really big stakeholders, and so you really have to also know what the audience might be looking for. Some of them it might be very much of a wonky kind of group. They're not looking for jokes. But if it's a younger group, maybe, younger students, and I actually like writing for him when he's going to speak to elementary school kids and stuff like that. Then you can kind of, have some fun.
Oh, especially because you have a 6-year-old.
Yeah, and then he's got kids, and he really likes like reaching out to young people like that. So it's a lot of fun like that. But ultimately you just got to respect that it's really their voice, and and again, it's not like I just write something and they just take it verbatim. I mean, he's going to put his own touches on it, strike things, rewrite things that he thinks will be more I don't know, aligned to his own speech writing things. So you have to also be open to to criticism, to not everything making the final cut. And that's all right. To me, I'm like, hey, just.
Do you ever say, how dare you cut that? I spent an hour on that sentence.
With some of my former editors, maybe, but not with.
I'm just kidding. So Emily said, it's fascinating. As someone with such a loud voice who is currently primarily writing for myself, I love all your quotes, myself, I find it such an interesting challenge. Nice. Yeah. Reading the room each time, a real skill. I know. Honestly, Emily, I'm thinking the same thing, that would be really hard, especially as someone that like has really, when I say worked hard, it's like working hard at settling into my own voice. That has been real work, like taking off all of the voices I think I'm supposed to have. Much different than when you're, speech writing or writing for a particular journal or something. But yeah, this is a really, okay. So that's actually maybe a cool question too. Do you ever have trouble taking off that hat? Like, let's say you want to give a speech at your brother's wedding, right? Or something. Do you ever find yourself writing in that like kind of more economical way that you were talking about? Or is it pretty easy to be like, okay, this is Chris?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to just kind of just, when to like, take off that hat. Cause my own writing style is certainly different. And, writing, for a speech is different than like writing for something on paper. I always say it's like, speech writing is like writing for the ear versus writing for the eye. So, I'm not gonna do like a lot of alliteration and things like that in a speech. Generally, you don't want to like get a bunch of tongue twister stuff going. But I don't know, again, I like being able to help, I just assume different voices, but just to write in different styles. So, I just like flexibility, just like having the flexibility that I can be put in a lot of different writing situations, whether it's like I could do a breaking news story, I could help someone write a memoir, help someone write a speech, and they're all kind of like different skill sets that are involved. So I just try and do what I can to like to adapt to those as much as I can. And yeah, again, just trying to be flexible. Then, that flexibility also gives you a lot of opportunity as well as a writer, that you're not just doing like one thing.
Do you ever get asked to work for free?
Not so much.
Perfect. You do now. So I need an art bio, and I was like, can you put up? But I need you to put Marachi pants on, Chris, to think about me for writing for me. Put Marachi pants on, some feathers, and that's it.
Lipstick, a little bit of lipstick.
I've supposed to help people out with. I've helped out with like do like press release kind of things, or like some artist bios and stuff like that. Done some trade out kind of stuff. A good friend of mine is an amazing photographer who's traded some wonderful like family photo sessions for, help with like artist statements and bios and things like that. So
how about a massage?
I would love to trade writing for massage.
Ruben,
okay, I can do it. Okay, I'm just saying, like, yeah, my hands are soft.
Specific massage.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm starting to be silly.
I'm so embarrassed for Ruben right now.
I know. This is what happens. This is what happens. Yeah, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out for Cali Cocktail Hour. Chris, thank you for coming out tonight too. We still have more to go on, but I just want to give a thank you to come out and talk about your writing and stuff like that too. Because
I'm just taking a little crochet hook to your brain, just like tell me everything about your medium.
Well, I really appreciate that, but just just the chance to be here, because I've definitely popped in on some Friday nights, and I'm not gonna lie, these have been some pretty tough times. For me, I lost my father a few months ago. The isolation has been pretty tough on me, especially for my creative process some of the time. I mean, getting those wheels to turn. It's been a challenge, but I'm popping in. I remember popping in one night, and when Lynn Mayuba was on talking about her art, and just seeing some friends here and all that, and connecting, and I just like that this is a good space where you can just talk about just like how you're feeling, whether it's just personally or creatively and all that. So I really, value, some of that time. So, thanks again for having me here.
Yeah. And thank you, because this has been, a little bit of escape from reality from COVID-19. And, we do acknowledge it. Sometimes, now it seems less intense as far as the news cycle is concerned because somebody lost, but they won't say they lost. But it's a little more, for people who think like this way, it's a little less intense. Like watching the news now, I'm like, oh, okay. It's different, right? It's like, okay, there's a big weight lifted off, and there seems to be at least somebody listening to science, so that kind of helps out a little bit too. And so we appreciate people coming in here and talking about what they want to talk about, because it is a release for everybody too. And
can I ask both of you a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're both creative people, and Melissa, you're putting this book together. I know it's taking a lot of work, and you have to juggle that with everything else. And you're also having to do this in the midst of a pandemic and, being isolated and all that. How has just all this been on your creative process? What are the things that you have found helpful in just kind of keeping your inspiration going and keeping your spark going? These are hard times for everybody. And I think especially for people who rely on their creativity to pay the bills, to express themselves. What are you both doing to, just, keep those creative juices flowing?
Melissa?
Ruben, do you want to start?
No.
Or do you want me to?
Yeah, I want to actually one-up you. So
okay.
I'm all, whatever Melissa said, I do it twice as much.
That's a really good question. And in complete transparency, I have definitely struggled financially, because even though, and with that, I'm okay, but it's been a rough 8 months. And for myself personally, I've been going through some stuff that has just been challenging. And so creatively, I've actually just sort of, I guess I could say what I've done is leaned into kind of like what feels good. I'll find myself reading my daughter's books with her and just like fantasizing about writing a children's book. And that sounds really fun. Or like even this book that I wrote, this started out as an entity that was supposed to go alongside my business that I could give to clients, that I could hopefully go talk about and earn credibility with. It started off very sort of like buttoned up. This makes sense for my business. And I just wasn't into it. And when you're not into stuff that will likely make you more money, like it's a little bit of a struggle. So I guess what I'm saying is creatively, I've had no blocks in that sense. I've been writing whatever I wanted and drawing and like doing off the map stuff that has nothing to do with what pays my bills. Coaching has been a little bit harder though, because doing what I do, as in, holding space for people, whether they're struggling a lot or simply, just trying to unlearn bad ideas about how they think they should live. When I'm really struggling, it's really hard for me to go out and write about how to be a light, I guess. Because often that's what my blogging was, is like, here's some ideas on how to deal with this. Here's what I'm doing right now to deal with that. I've been not dealing very well at many moments. So I guess two answers. It's been really hard and I have struggled, because when you're not really marketing yourself, you don't get as many clients. And I've been able to sort of squeak on by and felt pretty good with, like, I keep calling this my composting phase, where it's like, I've just been kind of reading a lot and drawing and ingesting weird shit that I would never think would inspire me. And then I come up with this that has nothing to do with anything I'm doing professionally, but it's like, cool, I'm going to run with that. And I've learned enough about creativity to be like, okay, that's all right, to just sort of follow whimsy. So yeah, so now I will pass the baton to
that's a lot.
Ruben, who's going to one-up me apparently.
So I wrote 2 books.
Of course you did.
Yes. No. I mean, like I said, there is a lot of different finds. It's like, you're looking for mushrooms, right? You're going to get the one that's good for you and the one that's poisonous, right? It's like, so, and it's been, a difficult navigation through this whole thing, because if you're super social, you get stuck in the house, you don't know what to do with yourself. And, it was a hard transition, and, pretty much found my voice through live streaming, right? Found my voice to the Pink Floyd, got on one time and, did the, is there anybody out there? You know?
Hello.
Yeah, it was. It was, and it was like, it was at, at midnight, and I was like, well, if there's going to be people like me, if there's people that need, that need help or want to just talk, it's going to be people that are up. Because I'm a person that when I get depressed, I can't sleep. Mm-hmm. My thoughts go everywhere. I'm a catastrophizer, and I will not sleep no matter what I try, unless I let my thought process empty itself out till I have no more thoughts. Usually takes a long time. But I've embraced this kind of vibrational, what I call vibrational structure of things now. I do a lot of artwork. I just don't show it. I have packages, and my studio's packed full of stuff. But I've really concentrated on, like getting energy work out there, right? Yeah. Energy, I believe in vibrations. I believe in energy. I believe this is all, energy work, and people are out there, whoever needs it, needs it, right? And it doesn't matter if it's like 2,000 people or if it's just one person. We always find that one person that really needs it at that time. And so that's what I found. I mean, I found a good part of this to change this into more of a healing section for myself and for other people, because I know I need people, and I know I need to talk to people. I know I need to feel that energy, that back and forth. And, with, but with Melissa on my side too, it becomes a double force for me. It's like we're able to reach, I get out of control. Melissa writes, "You're my puppet." And then I say, okay, I'll bring on the cats.
I'm not your puppet.
No, no, but what I mean? Like, and it's cool because, like I said, it's been a really great time of doing this. And I think that a lot of people have different voices, and I think this is the newest medium coming up. And, I'll tell you about that all the time. And it's free to learn. It's, I can teach you. Anyways, I just think that it's great to have a voice out there. And they're great that, Melissa's a great life coach, and she's done great with her book, right? Because in those down times and those times of, things that you don't think you know what you're doing, is actually when I think creativity really comes out, and you find yourself, and when you don't think about how you have to placate a certain audience or something, then you write what you want to do, you create what you want to do, and people like it, they like it. If they don't, then, but you're still good. And I think everybody's an artist, and I think everybody has the ability to create something. They just got to do it, and they'll feel good about themselves, because that's what you do. You got to channel that energy somewhere. So that's what I found. Yeah.
I remember reading this story about this man who was a writer. I forgot, some sort of novelist, and he went through this extremely dark, extremely creatively blocked time, and he was just, I forgot what all was happening. Pumpkin, you're too much right now. So eventually he couldn't get any words out, but he had a daughter, and she wanted her skateboard decorated, or like she wanted to paint her skateboard. So he decided to do that with his time. Like, that sounds fun. And then the other neighborhood kids were like, "Oh, that's such a cool skateboard. Will you paint mine too?" And he was doing like the underbelly of all these skateboards. And it had no, I've learned that in capitalism that we live in, it's very tempting to always say, so how are you going to monetize that? Is the end of the story mean he becomes a skateboard artist that's like a millionaire? And it's not. It's just that by doing those things for the neighborhood kids, he ended up somehow relaxing that creative clogged pipe enough to start writing again. And I love remembering that, like, we don't always know where things are leading, right? Whether it's a conversation or a project that it's like, I don't know why I want to do this, but if you have the bandwidth, that's why I'm a fan of like following the onesie, I guess you might say. And that's why it's cool, speaking of what you've done, Ruben, of being like, I feel like rather than doing like maybe a visual piece of art, I think I'm going to do some other kind of visual, because this is still visual audio creativity, and make some, learn how to live stream and just follow that breadcrumb and see where it goes.
Yeah. And it's from that moment of reaching out, I've now, taught 5 mentors about COVID-19 messaging, and they're doing great, and so it really comes out of what I love, that it came out of my heart rather than I'm going to brand this, right? I'm going to do this, and it moves on from that point, because Andrew has some really good, exciting news coming up soon, but I can't tell it soon, but with his show. And, but I think that, I'm really proud of it, and I am a person that doesn't take, positive news I'm not a person that goes, that's great. I kind of mute it myself, but I'm very proud of, I'm very proud of what they've done. So, and then Emily says,
so she said, I found myself retreating into creativity in a hardcore way, trying to sit with it for pleasure instead of turning it into something. Whimsy is the perfect word, Melissa. I love the way you put that, trying to sit with it for pleasure. Exactly. Because I think so often it's easy to be like, especially as adults that have very little time, where is this going? Even as a writer, sometimes I'll get a book just because I think it'll make me a better writer. So it's like, I better read this novel because it's supposed to be really good and maybe it'll make me better at writing. Ugh, but I hate it. And it's like, whimsy, like, do the stuff that feels good when you can. And Chris, with that, actually, I was going to ask Chris the same question, because I think it's a really good one, with the struggles of the last few months, especially, losing your father and really seeing some real life personal stuff on top of the stuff we're all dealing with. What have been your tools? Like, how do you, especially as a creative that has to keep feeding your family?
Yeah, well, to be honest, this has been a pretty tough, few months for me. I mean, just the isolation has, especially in the beginning. I mean, it just seemed like it would take forever for me to just like get that process going, getting the words out. I just felt like I was just being bogged down, and I guess I've gotten a little more used to as time's gone on, but just the isolation. I'm pretty much at home all by myself during the day. My wife's a 4th grade teacher, and she does her remote teaching from her classroom. So she's gone. My daughter goes to this daycare thing where they help with her remote learning. So, it's just me. And, I really miss being around people and just kind of feeding off that energy a little bit of just, I don't have to like be up in everybody's business, but just to be among people and have that energy, that water cooler conversation, it just kind of keeps me going. So some of the time it's just, I don't really have a choice. Like I got these assignments, I got these deadlines, and I just kind of got to do it. I put on music that tends to help, I don't know, just put me in a good place, I guess. A lot of electronic music for some reason. Tangerine Dream and Tycho and I don't know, but
Kataro.
I did listen to a little bit of Kataro. Some unicorn writing, new age music channel, Spotify stuff. Kind of get those alpha waves going. But I don't know, but it really has been a challenge, to like feel like that inspiration, at times like, oh, I got this thing, I got to get it out of me. Not just because I'm on deadline, but because, I just have this conviction that I just need to put down on paper, whatever it is. But, I'm just trying to enjoy the good times as they come and just try and soak them in as much as I can. Just kind of being honest with my feelings some of the time. If I am feeling sad or just, feeling isolated, having just some conversations with my dad in my head, about some things, and, it might bring me to tears, but that release has helped me some of the time. So I think when I'm just like holding it all inside, and that's when I get jammed up. But I've had those moments where, it just sort of comes out when I just, can kind of get those bottled up emotions out of me. Then that kind of opens up the floodgates for some other things too. But it kind of goes back and forth, because then the next day, here I go for another, inside the house for 22 hours out of the day. And, so it's a little bit of a roller coaster, but I'm trying.
Well, I'm just so grateful for your honesty. And, I think one of my favorite things isn't to hear that people are struggling, but it's to hear, hey, it's hard over here too, because I just think humaning is hard. Humaning during a pandemic is hard. And I'm really sorry about your dad. I think whenever we have a big loss like that, I've been really thinking about, just my heart goes out to people who haven't been able to, when I think about, losing my mom, I was able to gather with friends afterward. I was able to have a funeral for her. The things that we were so horrible, but we took for granted because it's like it wasn't a global pandemic.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I'm just grateful for the honesty. And
thank you. My aunt really. I have this wonderful aunt who's this. She's like a pioneering Chicana artist, visual artist, and it's really amazing that she's my aunt. Her stuff's been collecting the Smithsonian and whatnot, but she's inspired me a lot as a creative person. And when I was going through the stuff with my dad initially, she was on the phone with me every day and just saying, you know what, use your gifts as a writer to help work through this, to have your conversations with him. And I did. Once I actually posted on Facebook, it was a dream I had about my dad, like two nights after he died, and it kind of tied into some Dia de los Muertos things and all that. But my aunt really encouraged me to just kind of get it out there as a writer and just have that conversation. And so it was a little heavy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And even like I read it now and I feel good about it. I get a little choked up when I read it, but
did you put it out anywhere, or you just read it?
I did. It was on my Facebook. Can I read it?
Yeah.
What I wrote?
I was going to say I want to read it. Okay. So if you would want to read it for us, like right now.
Yeah, I can read it for you. I have it on another page right here. Okay.
And before you read it, we want to say hi to Serge, who is on his way back from Sacramento, moving back to Chicago. So.
Well, yes, thank
you. Welcome back.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching your journeys. And also, I don't know if you saw Emily's comment in there. It snuck in there, but she thinks you're amazing and very.
Oh, thank you.
There it is right here. Super cool, down to earth.
Creatively successful. I know. I love those combinations because often they exist separately.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So we appreciate all of your stories and personal story and honesty.
And we appreciate what I love about that people that come on here too, that they just share, and people, and that's what people want. They want to be able to hear other people's story because that gives them a little bit of strength too when something happens. And like you said, you don't want to keep that in, right? Because you do, then it's then I had a discussion with someone who kept in something for 60 years. And she goes, I don't want to say the thing, but she's like, I finally cried about it. I'm like, yeah, and so sometimes it takes that long to do that and realize that. So it's great to hear people, especially guys, right? Because we were told not to emote, You want to read this one for Emily before we read that?
Yeah, I'll read this. And I apologize if I get a little emo, kind of a sensitive guy, but this is personal, but it really felt good for me to write this and get it out there. Okay.
Yes.
For Dia de los Muertos 2020. 2 nights after my dad passed away in July, he appeared to me in a dream. The two of us were in the kitchen of our family house in Greenhaven. The room was dark, save for the light above the stove. My dad was cooking, as he often liked to do. I tried to get his attention, so I touched his arm with a small branch, but he just kept stirring his mixing bowl quietly. Then he turned to face me. My dad looked just like he did in the 1970s, with a big head of curly hair. Then I noticed clusters of marigolds placed in his hair as I stared closer into his face. I woke up, feeling anxious and jarred from the image, my deceased father with the flowers in his hair. But as I stirred in bed, it started to make sense. Marigolds are the symbolic flower of Dia de los Muertos, the Mexican Day of the Dead. I told my Aunt Esther Hernandez about this dream the next day. She shared that the marigolds also represent the sun and positive energy in some cultures. And as we talked, it became clear that my dad was in a peaceful place. He was home, literally in our family home during the dream, and very much at ease, even with the marigolds in his hair. I'm thinking about him a lot this Dia de los Muertos, along with my mom and all the other family members and friends and ancestors who passed away. Much love to all those who are feeling the spirits extra heavy in their hearts. The end. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, but
really beautiful.
I remember when I woke up from that dream, I was like, I started telling my wife about it almost immediately, and I was just like, I had a hard time keeping it together because it was just like so vivid and whatnot. And then talking to my aunt about it, same thing. I'm just like, but she encouraged me. She's like, that was a conversation that you had. Use your writerly good, write about it, write something. And when I did that, it felt really, really good. It was very cathartic. And even when I read it now, it's still, it's in that emo spot, but
emo spot.
Emo spot. But I feel lucky that I have that kind of outlet, that I don't have to just kind of let it bottle up in that way, that I can try and make sense of this thing, that happened in my mind. And it's
so beautiful, says Emily. And I was just thinking that it's alchemy, that what you did is that, you took us to your kitchen in the 70s, and I could like see, the hair and how it would hold the flowers because it was so curly. And that is the magic of writing specifically, is the ability to paint a picture, right? And I mean, obviously we can do that with visual arts as well.
Yeah.
So we weren't only. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, if you go to my Facebook page, you scroll down a little bit, I actually posted a family picture of me in the 70s with my dad, where you can really see his big curly trying to give a sense. But
oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the beauty of art, and just the way that we can express ourselves, and get these things out of us, or help us process them if we don't quite know what they mean, but we can work them out, share them with others, and inspire other people if we can. It's a gift.
And and like I said, like, thank you for for sharing that too, and being vulnerable too at that point too, from being a dude perspective, right? It's nice to see other males. I know a lot of males that emote and are vulnerable, and I love it. But there's far and few in between that too, because everybody's
doing something like that, a soul collective, doing like a space for young men to come together.
Yes,
I'm so much about that. And there's a really cool local DJ guy named Satapana. You might have seen him at B-Side or whatever, but he was doing a thing for dads, like this dad summit where we all came together in his backyard. This is pre-COVID, and we talked just about the good, the bad, the struggle. I remember I was telling my own story, and again, I'm an emo guy, so I was like, but I feel like that's becoming, I wouldn't say more permissible or whatnot, but it is getting a little bit easier.
It is
to be able to just, not have to, we got to get it out of us. We don't have to be made of stone. We do have heart and feelings and soul, and we got to respect that.
Yeah. And Colleen said,
she said, thank you for being here and sharing about your father. You're a beautiful spirit.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Colleen. Yeah. By the way, I saw her artwork on here one of these times, and it's fantastic. Hope you can have her on sometime and talk art. And
how haven't we had Colleen?
We're working on it. But before we go, we have a couple more, minutes time. And I wish I would have told everybody to grab your pencil and grab your thoughts, but you can hold your thoughts in there. So we're going to play one of Emily's bits. Quizzes. There you go. Sorry. I'm all bits and words.
English words.
Thank you so much. And so this is, I wish Emily she was on here before, but I don't want to ruin it or explain it in a different way. So we are going to go to it now, and I wish people had their pen and pencils, because it is a fun quiz and something that
you can just type your answers. If you have an answer, type it into the comments, and then we'll grade you, and whoever wins gets a big fat hug at the end of this pandemic.
And Chris, this is our wonderful, talented friend Emily from the UK.
You can comment.
Yes, and I love it because it throws a little bit off of the American version of it. So you know some answers, and you're like, well, So that's what I love about it. It confuses me.
Beef Wellington,
which is easy. So let's do it. Can you hear it?
Yes.
I'm going to give you 4 names. Together they make a famous fictional person, and that's the answer that I'm looking for. Number 1, Templeton Faceman Peck, H.M. Howlin' Mad Murdoch, B.A. Baracus, John Hannibal Smith.
Say it out loud.
Wait, what are we supposed to do?
We're supposed to figure out who these 4 people are in the...
I know who they are.
Say it.
The A-Team.
Oh, the A-Team. Good job, Chris.
Carrie,
Sex in the City. I know this one.
Samantha, Charlotte.
Still Magnolias.
Oh, not everything is still Magnolias, Ruben. Weezer.
Just for the record, I'm a Charlotte.
Are you? Yeah. You're so chaste.
Number 3, Heather Duke, Veronica, Heather Chandler, Heather McNamara.
Heathers?
Heathers, yeah.
Is it?
Is
yes. That was a guess.
Nice. I guess that's
Beef Wellington.
Thanks for hearing my joke, Emily. Ruben just talks over me all the time.
I don't know what that was.
Number 4. Katie, Regina, Karen,
Gretchen Wieners. It's Mean Girls.
I was going to say that, but that made me feel too macho for that. So.
Mean Girls. Man stuff.
Man girls.
It's Ruben, it's okay.
Number 5.
He's like
Stan, Kyle, Eric, Kenny.
Ruben, what is this?
Still Magnolias?
South Park.
South Park.
Is it?
Steel
Okay.
Magnolias. If all else fails, say
Yeah.
Steel Magnolias. Emily, do you know what Steel Magnolias is, by the way?
6. Athos,
Ooh.
Porthos, Aramis.
Don't we love her
D'Artagnan.
voice? We just have
Yeah.
an appreciation for Emily's speaking voice. Lord of the Rings? Greek things?
Lord of the Rings. That's even worse than Still Magnolias.
Number 7.
Titanic?
Alex, Pete,
I know this one.
Georgie,
Say it.
Dim.
Yeah, what is it?
Clockwork Orange. The Droogies from A Clockwork Orange.
Ah.
Ooh. I only
Video
watched that for one.
Brothers.
I like how we have the ticker. It's like that. You get nervous. It's almost over.
What makes me nervous?
Number 8. Meg, Amy,
Oh,
Joe, Beth.
Steel Magnolias. Little Women.
Musketeers number
Musketeers.
6. Ah, Chris, yes.
Wait, so we missed that one because whatever we said wasn't Musketeer. Oh, that was the Porthos. Okay.
Number 9.
Julia Roberts has
Stanley.
diabetes.
Stanst. Venkman.
Yes, that's the Magnolias.
Winston.
Yes. Churchill's.
Chris, you're the writer, dude. Both of you guys are writers, so you should win.
Ooh.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
You should know this.
I'm not a historical writer.
Yeah,
Number
that was.
10.
I know this one.
Dorothy, the Scarecrow,
What is
Tin Man. The Cowardly Lion.
what was the Michael Jackson one?
The Wiz.
The Wiz, yes. What is the Wiz?
Well, it's the Wizard of Oz, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn it.
I thought he really had that. I was rooting for you, Ruben.
Yes, and here are the answers. Who
I
won?
think we did better than usual, actually. Good job, Chris.
Chris.
Do we have any comments for people guessing any of those?
Chris did.
All right, definitely got that one. Oh yeah, that's right, Musketeers. The Heathers. I've never seen that, but it's a must read, right?
It's a good one.
The plastic. Bingo! That's right, these are 4 songs. Got that one. Michael loves South Park. I'm forced to watch it.
That's a Chris right here. Chris got it.
No, no, that was not me. That was the other Chris.
That was
Yeah, that's
Chris.
right. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Now this is Chris.
Clockwork
Chris.
Orange, the other Chris.
They're in the Corova Milk Bar. Yeah.
The what?
The Corova Milk Bar.
Ooh,
See that one?
Little Women. Got that one.
Ghostbusters.
Oh, Ghostbusters. Ah,
Metallica.
we should have known that one. The Wiz.
The Wiz. It says Wiz.
Yeah. I have to go let my cat out of the room. I'll be right back.
Well, thank you, Emily. Sorry. So, Chris, that was Emily, and she does bits, pieces for our show sometimes.
She should be the new voice for the Calm app. She should.
She is. I know. Well, I feel like I should be flying a plane when Emily talks. Like, okay, you're gonna be fine. Although I do have this question for Emily. They put the in front of everything, right? Do you notice that?
Like British people do?
I don't know.
The British people?
Yeah, the British people. I love the Wiz. See? Search. Yeah.
You're talking about like cheese whiz?
But yeah, if I go back, it was the A-Team. No, that is actually the A-Team. The Still
A-Team.
Magnolias.
No, you're thinking of people in LA who call.
No,
like,
she did.
Freeway.
Okay. There was a lot of those in there that weren't supposed to be there.
The South Park. The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Not the Wizard.
No.
That's fine.
Did it say the Clockwork Orange or a Clockwork Orange? Or
No, it was another name for it too. She put other different names for it. If you notice that too.
Oh no, these were like the groups within the movie. that she was putting.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, Emily, I'm dyslexic, so that's really mean. Oh, the mean girl. So
they were the plastic, which they were called the plastics in the movie.
Oh, okay. See? Of course. Yes, Emily, we'd love more stuff. You know, I have to search for it, and yes, I look for it, I watch it, and that way I didn't answer any stuff because I already watched it anyway, so I cheated.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, that's why everything was Steel Magnolias for you.
Yes. What is Steel?
You should make a quiz just about Steel Magnolias, but make it really hard and just for Ruben.
That's right.
I was once in an all-white version of The Wiz.
I don't even want to ask about the makeup department.
Yeah. Well,
not my proudest moment. That's it's going to haunt your political career if you have that.
That's right.
Okay, so we need to make sure we have time to ask our rapid fire questions to Chris.
Yeah, and Colleen. Yes, and Colleen said and so Emily, please make up some more stuff. It would be great. And,
we love it.
Next time I'll tell people to bring a pen and pencil, write it down, or actually put it in the space it out to where I can let everybody answer, and then I can stop it.
I also have one project I'd like to plug really quick too before we go. So I got
do you want to plug it now?
Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah. Plug away. This is the part of the show called Plug Away.
Yeah, this is where I can now. Well, I think we talked about this when Lynn was on, Lynn Mayuba was on, because the Mayuba family helped me get connected with a really amazing book project. A guy named Tim Havanchek, a PGA master professional,
yes,
who died while coaching a college golf tournament. At the time, he was with Sierra College. They were in Chico. Collapsed, had a torn aorta. It's the same thing that killed John Ritter. Normally, this happens to a person. You basically the switch goes out. You're dead. He was out for a long time, no pulse, but he was able. He came back, and less than a year later, he was at the hospital getting a checking on his heart. Doctor says, "Hey, something doesn't sound quite right there." They insist on keeping me there for the night. He's like, "No, I don't want to do it." Later that night, he flatlines. He's in the hospital, has a heart attack, and is once again gone. And both of these times he had this very profound spiritual experience where he had gone into heaven. It's kind of a heaven's for real kind of story, but without the fairy tale ending, because when he came through this thing, he had these amazing just stories, and just like these passages he talked about, this music that he hears, watching his brother his twin brother who had died coming to him, and all this stuff. I mean, it's I remember sitting with him at the table when he's telling these stories, and tears are coming down. It's really, really heavy stuff. But the thing is, it's not a fairy tale kind of story, because he comes out of all of this with like $1 million in hospital bills, about to lose his house. His wife ends up divorcing him. So he basically has lost almost everything a person could, even though he's had this very profound spiritual experience and everything's supposed to be great. But he found a way to work through all of this, through the power of his faith, through his conviction of being here, to share his story about what it means to just to keep believing when it seems like everything is against you, when you're all alone once again. In fact, I have a cover right here. It's so it's Heaven's Nice, Been There Twice. That it worked on. We released that. We self-published that a little earlier this year. People really seem to love the story. I mean, I'm really proud of how it came out. And I hadn't done a self-published book like that before, so I learned a lot from the process too. But Tim's story it's really, really beautiful, and it's also very real too. I mean, I know that some people might not believe in heaven. Oh, he's probably just just like some blood loss or whatever. Whatever the case is, this is a story of perseverance of the will and triumph. And in the midst of him losing his family, losing his house, losing his wife, he ends up having the greatest coaching season of his college golf career. His team wins a national title. He's named coach of the year, in his division. So it has kind of like this nice kind of, rocky kind of ending. And it's really, again, it's a story of transformation. I mean, he wasn't supposed to be here. He was able to come from pretty much rock bottom to, finding a new level of success and understanding in his life. So again, the chance to tell a story like that, love digging into that one.
Yeah.
To be a fly in the wall during him telling you all of that, I'm sure was just fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's what a book is we all get to be a fly on the wall and get to hear the story too.
Yeah. So I was really proud of how it came out, and much love to the Mayubas for helping to support the project. Our pal Sonny is the one who got us connected initially. Sonny's the one who took a golf lesson from Tim, and he comes back, he calls me and says, dude, I got to tell you about this guy. And then it went from there. And
of course, Sonny would do that.
Yeah. Gotta love Sonny. Gotta love the Moeba family. They're out there. Yeah. Nothing to love from. Okay.
Wow. Well, that is awesome. Do you have a link that we can post? Maybe we can comment with Heaven's Nice, Been There Twice is the name of the book. So I'm sure someone could probably just Google that.
It just so happens I have the link to the Amazon. I just kind of just put it in the comments or something. Or
yeah. Do that.
Actually, you can put it in the private chat, and I can copy and paste it and put it in there for you. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank you for coming out tonight. And obviously, there's a couple of things that we would love to talk to you about. If we can have Aquanetta on here, that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah,
we could have him on there too. That'd be great too. Because we could do multiple shows on that, and but I appreciate you coming out tonight.
Yeah, and bringing all of yourself.
So you got some rapid fire questions? Is that how we're going?
Yeah. So
I do.
Let me say something real quick though, because you think Melissa's really, really nice, right? She's got a great personality. She's a really cool person. She's not. I am. She'll bring out her cat. Her cat's out, so she'll come out here and
I had
give her
white
rapid
cat,
fire
now
questions.
I have the black cat. Before we get into this
is where she gets you. This is the gotcha moment. Yes.
I have to ask a question really fast. If Emily is still here, I don't know if you guys saw her comment a minute ago that said hospital bills, you guys, and it was like a tear face because she lives in the UK, where I'm assuming, unless you just opt for private health care, which I think you can do. I don't know. Anyway, Emily, will you marry me and take me to England and let me be a citizen of that country so that I cannot have hospital bills?
Hey, that's all. This is America, okay? This is America. We got stuff too. What do we have?
Really expensive stuff.
Yeah, we have really, really expensive hospital bills. That's what we have. So, number one.
Just think about it. I could bring my whole family. We could slowly marry them off so that they become citizens. Anyway.
Nice to see you, Andrea.
Let's get into these questions.
Hello from Portland. And then it is Happy World Kindness Day tonight.
Ooh, awesome. Thank you, Serge. That's nice to know.
So she's going to pull the 6th question, which was the really gotcha question. So here we go, Chris. You ready for this?
I hope so.
All right.
And here we go.
This was not supposed to be rapid fire, but now you have to answer it kind of fast. This was just for you. How do you know the difference between perfectionism and doing your best, especially as a writer?
Ooh, perfectionism versus... I think perfectionism to me is tied with anxiety in a way, because, I don't think there's ever been a story I've written. There's never been anything I've written that I've looked back on and said, that was perfect. There's nothing I wouldn't change about that. I sometimes don't even want to go back to my earlier writing because I'm like, I want to rearrange this. And, that sucked and whatever. Whereas, the other part of it is done my best job. It's I'm okay with the end result. I feel I did my best. I check the boxes that I needed to, I feel proud of what I've done, but then also just kind of knowing that later on and be like, oh, that sucked. that could have been better. It's that self-doubt thing, as artistic people, this is what we deal with. But perfectionism, that can be a real heavy load to carry sometimes.
I love that you just tied it with a feeling, because I think that's something we can kind of latch onto. Okay, so my best isn't anxious. Right? There might be some nerves, right? That excitement, but it's not ugh. Okay, now I'm on to my actual normal rap. You have to be brave, but the fear you feel is really, really real and right there. What is the first that you do?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? My Wi-Fi got a little spotty there just real quick. Yeah,
so you're called to be brave, but the fear that you feel is really real and it's just right there in your throat. What is the first thing you do?
Honestly, probably try and rationalize in some way. Okay, there's probably, I'm just going to jump in and be like, whatever. But, oh my gosh, that's a tough question. I know what what the right answer sounds like on paper. Yeah, you just dive in and you just got to, do what's right and you put on your brave face and all that. Then I think, well, but, if it's something that's going to end my life, I got, I don't want my kids to lose their father. Or I don't know. That's a terrible answer, but I don't know. That's a tough one.
Well, I like your answer. I think it's twofold. It's both acknowledging, because we don't really know what the situation is, but it's acknowledging.
What can I say?
You just have to act, and if there's time to consider, you'll do that. But I'm guessing this is one of those moments where it's just like time to step up. So you kind of gave us an answer. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, if there's like a my house is on fire and it's burning, and like, I got to like jump in there to save my bat cat and everything else. Well, yeah, I mean, you're gonna do what you got to do.
I thought bat cat's gonna fly out of there.
You know what? You're right. That's a good point. Well, yeah. Well, we have other pets too who don't have wings and fly. Like,
they're like, we want to live too. I saw this sticker. It said, "Baby on board. There are adults on board too, and we want to live too." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." It was put more succinctly than that, but because anyway. All right. What is a concert you'll never forget?
A concert I'll never forget?
Yeah.
My first concert, which was, and I'm going to age myself here, but it was like the anniversary of this concert not too long ago. It was the Clash at the Sacramento Memorial Auditorium in 1982. It was my first concert. I was 12 years old. I still got the T-shirt, but it wasn't even so much of just, I don't remember a whole lot just about the show itself, but I remember just the excitement of that first show and how much it made me love music even more. And that feeling of like, just like wanting to be around other people who love music and being in that environment. And just that excitement of music and that energy. And that's what I remember. And, but it all started there. Then I made part of my living was, getting paid to go to concerts and review them. So then it kind of became work. But that was just such a cherished, just innocent, pure kind of concert moment where I was just there just because I love music and it was all new and it just opened up the world for me. So I'll say that.
I love it.
So does the T-shirt still fit? Or did you cut it off or cut off?
Well, okay, so this is the 80s. It was actually a muscle shirt. So it was, the
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Did you cut it off for a half shirt?
No, but no, it does not. It does not fit.
Okay.
I don't even know if it fit my daughter at this point. It was a men's small, and I was a pretty scrawny guy when I was 12. I'm still not the biggest guy, but I remember like when I first got that shirt, it felt like it was like wearing a blouse, so it seemed like huge. And like now, no, it wouldn't be pretty.
Yo, now Batcat wears it.
That's a great idea. Actually,
that is a great idea. Repurpose that memory, or make it into like a quilt for Batcat. Then you can like look at it and remember.
I still have a few of my old concert shirts, but that one I will never eBay or sell or whatever. Yeah.
I feel like we're having a cat off right now because I see your cat, Melissa, trying to get in there, and then
right there.
Yeah. Batcat is taking a nap right now.
See, he's like, I'm over it.
Getting ready for midnight when he sprouts his wings and flies down the hallway.
Okay, next question.
Yeah.
What is the last TV show you binged and loved? Duh.
Ooh, well, I'm binging on it now. Actually, but The Queen's Gambit.
I just finished it last night.
Yeah, that is. I mean,
is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I kind of went into it a little bit, casually, just like, I kind of like chess, and I, some friends of mine who I really respect their opinions on, shows and art and culture, and I was like, oh my gosh, so well, I'll check it out. Yeah, I got pretty hooked on it. It's good. I mean, just the acting, the set decor, the writing. I mean, it's a total package kind of a show. I've been pretty blown away by it.
So good.
Oh, we got some fans. See,
you got to watch it. Queen's Gambit. If you're listening to us, Ruben, you have to watch it.
Yeah,
yes, I will.
Yeah,
totally agree.
It's about chess, but it's about the game of life.
Oh yeah, I had no idea about the rules of chess, but it was just fascinating.
Let's ask Emily about it because is it an English movie?
No,
it's cold. It takes place in the Cold War era, but it's in the United States.
Oh, well, forget it then.
Yeah.
You're not gonna watch it?
No. Anyway, I will watch it. Yeah, I will.
Okay, next question. What is your favorite meal?
My favorite meal. Well, the sentimental part of me would say anything cooked by my mom, but if we're just talking about restaurant meal, kind of stuff.
Like if I said, hey, you did a great job on that book, I want you to order something, or we're
pretending that COVID doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We're going to Crew. We're going to go sit in front of Billy, the chef owner, and we're just going to say,
put it in my mouth.
Yeah, or the omakase, chef's choice. because everything is like you don't exactly know what's coming. It's impeccable. Just his culinary technique, the flavors. Big fan of that guy's cooking. But I'm also just such a sucker for just a good home cooked meal, especially from like my mother-in-law. I just love her cooking. Because it's that cooking with love,
Yeah. I think Emily's talking about not the cooking, but
she hasn't seen the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
Netflix, no excuse.
Highly recommended the Queen's Gambit.
What are you doing, Emily? What are you even doing with your life? Oh wait, you're doing a big project. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it or not, but
yeah. What are you doing, Emily?
Something very cool that I'm excited about. More to come. Okay, Chris, back to your question.
Focus.
What is on your nightstand? And if you're like many people I've asked that question who say, I don't have a nightstand, then just what is next to your bed where you sleep?
What's next to the bed? Like
you have a nightstand? First question.
Okay. My iPad, because I do a lot of reading on that at night. That's like one of the ways I just kind of like wind down, play a little Words with Friends, and just kind of listen to the Calm app or whatever. But I do like to read at night before I go to bed. So I usually have that. It's not like a book. I don't have like a little head flashlight thing where I'm turning pages and stuff. But and then maybe a glass of water or something.
Okay. Are you reading anything right now? Is it like an anthology? Like what kind of stuff do you read before that?
There's some certain like magazine writers that I really love their profiles and whatnot, so I can steal their devices and get their inspiration. So sometimes I'm just kind of searching around. Sometimes rereading stories that I've always just enjoyed, or I just find like inspire me. Because that's the thing about a great story is like no matter how much you read, you always find something new to love about it. Like there's a sentence that really rings in a way like I didn't quite get that part, but oh man, that really hit. So or I'm just doing social media,
reading.
Yeah.
But yeah, reading wise, I don't know. I do like a lot of like magazine profile kind of things and.
Nice. Okay. Em's over there binging Adventure Time instead of Queen's Gambit. It sounds like.
I don't say binging. This is binging. Is that an English term?
I think it's.
Is it? See, I'm not.
Binging.
I don't think there's an E in binging.
I'm gaslighting people.
British. I'm being.
I'm making you question if that's true or not because I'm actually questioning myself.
You're gaslighting us right now, Ruben.
That's right. It works.
Okay. Chris? What is your favorite smell?
My favorite smell when you open the door of La Esperanza Bakery on Franklin Boulevard on a cold winter day and you walk in. That smell of just those fresh pastries and bread. It is seriously. I've said this before. I mean, I think that's what I want heaven to smell like when I go walking through the pearly gates. I mean, it's just the most comforting, just sweet, aromatic, and just that shop just has so much history, to it. I just feel those vibes, and it's just plus it's just like comfort food everywhere. Beautiful pastries and rolls and breads and the piñatas and everything but just that smell right when you walk in, that smell of cinnamon and
I like it.
And vanilla and just fresh bread. I mean, it's that. Yeah, we'll go.
I just realized I have to take that question out because now I'm really hungry and it's 10:30 at night and I can't go anywhere. Damn it! But oh my gosh, I'm there.
It's my turn.
Okay, my last question for you.
Yes.
What is an ordinary moment in your day that fills you with gratitude?
When I pick up my daughter and she runs and gives me just a hug and says, "Daddy," like every day, which is like my favorite part of the day. And, it's just like, that it's just like that one little moment, I always kind of know that it's coming, that for me, no matter how my day has been going, I always know that at least for that moment, I just, see those little feet like running towards me and around and just like that look that she has and just giving her that hug. Yeah. And again, I mean, maybe that's not an ordinary thing, but
that's a beautiful moment. And I would think that's kind of ordinary. Like it's ordinary for you. One day it won't be though. And that's why I love it, because one day in 20 years, that will be such a distant memory. And so remembering those little feet and that excitement, like I love that.
I've tried getting video of it at times where I see her running from across the playground and all that, but I'm not very good with my videography and stuff. But I've always wanted to capture it, somehow, just because, again, you know that it's not always going to be there when, when she's 14, she's not going to become running across the playground, Daddy, so.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of the push and pull of like time, right? Is that we want to capture it because we know it's fleeting, and also we want to be there, like just open arms. And balancing those two can be.
I also love, just really quick, that first rush of energy and positivity I get from that first morning cup of coffee, right as it kicks in. I just have this moment where I just kind of feel like, I kind of feel get ready for the day, and then 2 minutes later, all of a sudden, oh, okay, now I got to do this. But there's that little moment of clarity and energy, But I look forward to that. Then everything goes to hell after that, especially during COVID.
What's funny is that is probably our most common response to that question. And I share that feeling. I think anyone who has that morning cup of coffee knows that it's kind of like there's this hope that is just dashed moments later. I'm kidding. It doesn't always get dashed, but
because a lot of times, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, you know where I'm going. It's like, it's all things are possible.
It's a chicken thought. That's why. Chickens are like, I'm still alive, right? That's great. It's a great day.
Well, I think
I'm going to eat this food.
I think a lot of us have been having very anxious kind of sleep and have not been sleeping very well. But for me, a lot of times I wake up anxious and I just feel like, just my heart's beating like a little bit too much. And, and coffee would seem to be something that would be counterproductive. That it's just going to wire me up even more. But, for whatever it is, even if I'm feeling like really, just anxious and just kind of unsettled, as that kicks in, I just feel myself relax. And then, again, 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later, I get nervous again, whatever. But it is that moment, it's that Folgers moment, that Maxwell House moment, whatever it is.
Best part of waking up.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's some good marketing. So Emily said, I love that knowledge parents have about the reality of being a teenager. Because when you're the teenager, you feel so new and original in your grumpiness. Oh, that's so true. I think I always felt so new and original, but especially in the teenage years of like, you've never been here, you don't understand.
Yeah, they are tender years. And again, I have my son is 18, so I've been going through his teenage years while my daughter was coming out of her toddler years, coming out. So I would have like, both ends of the, kind of like the whole spectrum in some ways. And those teen years, they're pretty tender. And I remember mine, just that fear of missing out, just that whatever, just everything is just like, just so dramatic. Nobody understands me, and yet I want to be acknowledged, but I want to be alone. And the Morrissey song is really speaking, to my heart.
Until you realize Morrissey doesn't become very conservative nowadays. So.
I know it's kind of sad.
It's sad.
Yeah. So okay, Echo and the Bunnymen. Yeah, I listened to this Echo and the Bunnymen song, and that's my soul. And everybody just leave me alone. But I need love.
Where'd you go?
Yeah.
Why'd you leave me alone?
Yeah, gotta love the teenagers.
Yeah, and thank you for coming out, and thank you for being open and honest with all of us, and
thank you so
appreciate
much.
It. Yeah,
it was wonderful.
And again, thank you for just creating the space where you can have people feeling like that it's okay to feel a little vulnerable to whatever. I mean, when I read things about my dad, I knew I might, feel a little choked up, and I felt like this was a place where I could be okay with that. I don't know. I wouldn't like go in front of like my work colleagues maybe and be like, I want to read something or whatever, but. I think that's what this thing is about, and I'm really happy to see you both doing it, and just wish you the best luck. Things keep going. Congratulations again, Melissa, on your book. Awesome.
Thank you,
Ruben.
Thank you so much.
Can't wait to see you again out in the real world sometime.
Yeah, right. So you're trying to.
Emily said you're trying to come into your own, and the world is like, boom, acne, boom, grease, boom, awkward. Boom, hips.
Actually, that was last week for me. So,
Ruben, your internet is getting wonky. Are you seeing that, Chris?
Is it?
I heard a little bit. It sounded like he turned into like Kraftwerk vocals or something.
And you're blurry. That's why I think it's your internet, because your image is like pixelated on my screen. Is it like that for you, Chris?
A little bit, yeah.
So, I am made of energy. Sometimes if I use too much, this will happen to me, and then I have to go back in my human form. tomorrow. I get in my skin tomorrow, my human skin. So that's what happens.
You're like a poltergeist.
That's right.
Poltergeist.
Well, thank you for everybody. I think that, yeah, I am literally fading out. I guess.
You are.
The Matrix style.
Don't go into the light, Carol Ann.
That's right. That's right. So,
I don't know why I gave her a southern accent.
Static.
But thank you for everybody for coming out. I don't know if you can see me. I can see myself. I'm looking pretty damn good right now. So
it actually made me think about. Never mind. We're gonna stop. I'll go off on a tangent. Chris, thank you for being here. Thank you everyone that joined us. Ruben, always wonderful to see your face, even if it's pixelated. Grateful for you guys.
Thanks again. Shout out to England too.
Yes, Emily, make us some content to play. It'd be awesome. So
make more.
Good night. Yeah. Good night, Colleen. Thank you. Thank you for everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Good night.
All right, signing off, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Good night, Chris.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out.